Thank you, Howard. Howard kind of said I was an engineer, very apologetic to this crowd, so thank you for having me here. So what I want to talk today very quickly is about some of the new areas of technology development that we feel are going to make some great strides in the area of supporting older adults with dementia and their caregivers and their family members. And I call my talk Disruption Ahead, and hopefully that'll become clear as I go through it. So technology to support people with dementia is not a new area of research. It's been around for 20, 25 years actually, and there's actually been a whole bunch of technology that are being developed. Now, I'm not going to get into kind of what's being done to this point because I really want to talk more about what can happen in the future. But what you see here is this is actually a very nice diagram put together by the Alzheimer's Society from the UK that kind of gives some example technologies that exist based on the various stages of dementia. And what you see is they're all very quite simple technologies. There are things like simple sensors, alarms, communication device, visual and auditory stimulation, etc., to provide this support. And while some of these have proven to be successful, what we're actually starting to find is they're actually not having as great as an impact as we hope they will. And the reason for this is because we're actually starting to see some changing expectations, not only among the family members and the caregivers, but also from the older adults themselves. And this is starting to see even more rapidly now as we're starting to see a changing demographic in who is becoming that cohort of the older adults. Currently now, what we're starting to find is people are having greater expectations from the technologies that they're using in their lives. They are used to having smartphones with them. They're used to having technology being a pervasive aspect of many parts of their lives. And as we go into the care now aspect, they're expecting this pervasiveness to be there as well. So essentially this comes into the disruption aspect. We need to do something different now. It can't be the same old thing, the same old simple technologies, because people are not accepting them anymore. They're not making a difference anymore in their lives. We need to essentially come up with the iPhone of technology for dementia. That is the product that as soon as it came on the market, basically blew it up. Everyone had to start thinking differently and doing things different as well. So in my mind, there's three kind of emerging areas or disruptive technologies that I feel, and others in this field as well, could make a significant impact in the lives of people with dementia and their families. That is smart homes, robotics, and big data. So I'll just touch on each one of these briefly right now. So smart homes, again, is an area of research that's been around for quite a long time. But what we're starting to see now are new sophisticated types of devices that are really addressing various aspects of a person's life to remain in their own home or to age in place. So for example, we are seeing technologies being developed right now that can do things such as prompt a person through activities of daily living. So for example, providing the reminders and the prompts that are needed for an older adult with dementia to brush their teeth, wash their hands, use the toilet, make a cup of tea, whatever it may be. We're also starting to see sophisticated technologies incorporated to the house that can help with health monitoring. So for example, we're seeing floor tiles being developed that as you simply walk across them, we are collecting your heart rate, your blood pressure, and other vital signs that can be very important information to send to your health practitioner or to your family or caregivers to ensure that you're doing okay. And the reason why we're incorporating this into the environment is because of the cognitive impairment. An older adult may not be able to collect these vital signs on their own anymore. So we need to make this as easy as possible and as natural as possible within their daily lives. We're also seeing telehealth come into the home more rapidly. And we've heard some aspects of that throughout the day. And this is going to be an area that obviously will continue to grow, especially as more older adults wish to stay in their own homes. Robotics is a big area. Now, robotics is one of those areas whenever I talk about, the first thing people say is too expensive. Amazing, in the past 10 years, we've seen robots go from hundreds of thousands of dollars to tens of thousands to thousands. And in the next few years, these are going to become hundreds of dollars only. There are robots out there right now that you can buy for under $1,000 that are quite sophisticated and do a lot of the things I'm going to describe here. These are examples of two robots being developed at the University of Toronto. So this is a robot here that can provide prompts and reminders during common ADL. So this robot here right now is prompting this individual with Alzheimer's through the task of making a cup of tea and giving them the reminders that they need. This robot here is playing a game and doing cognitive stimulation with this person with dementia. This robot also does mealtime, so it sits there and engages the person in conversation in order to have that cognitive stimulation during that ADL. So again, they're not commercially available, but they have been proven, they've been tested with quite strong results. One significant area of robotics is driverless cars that's coming up. We've heard a lot about this in the media, that Google has driving cars, etc., and they're actually out there driving around being tested. I like this quote from the AARP saying that the self-driving car, a godsend for older Americans, is now on the horizon. This horizon is probably 5 to 10 years. Let me say that first. Is it a godsend? I don't think anyone knows yet, especially for older adults or those with dementia. A lot more research needs to happen to see whether driverless cars can actually have a significant impact, but I think it's a very fruitful area of research that we should be pursuing. Finally, big data. You know, we heard a little bit this morning about the big data initiative that happened earlier this year, and it is something that is starting to grow, especially in the area of older adults and supporting them in their own homes. This is your kind of typical example of big data with older adults with dementia, and that is sensing the home. So by using very simple sensors such as motion sensors, which typically we're all used to having in our own environments from home security systems, etc., we can actually collect quite a large amount of data that can show us very useful things and trends about the person that we're providing care to. So for example, by just having a motion sensor in every single home, we can see data that looks like this. So this is a radial plot, very difficult to see, I apologize. This is the time of day, so 0 to 24 hours. And what this is showing is essentially the patterns of living for this individual and how it changes over time. So you can imagine if we can collect information about a person's pattern of living and we look at how it changes over time, we can probably start to infer some very important information. So this slide means nothing until I explain it to you, I realize that. But this is an example of what we've done with that data. We have developed algorithms that by just watching the person for 3 months and collecting that kind of data, with 85% accuracy, we are predicting who will transition to dementia within a 3-year period. Okay? So you can imagine how powerful that kind of data could be to not only do predictions of onset of dementia, but other things, such as predicting an aggressive behavior that may occur in a long-term care facility. We've heard that several times today. And these are projects that are all currently happening in my group and across the AgeWell network. So to finish off, Canada is at the leading edge. You know, we have been behind the Europeans and the US, but we are catching up. And this is being done through significant investments from our government and our government agencies, such as the AgeWell network, CCNA that we heard about before, and most recently the CCABHI, which I never remember what it stands for, but this is a new commercialization center at a Baycrest Hospital in Toronto, looking specifically at technologies for healthy brains. So to finish off, there is some significant research happening in Canada around the world in this area. Obviously, it's growing. It's nothing new, but it is now kind of hitting that point where we are now kind of making some leaps forward. The needs and expectation of older adults and their carers are changing. And this is important for us to consider in the design of any new technologies and the consideration of the types of research questions we want to focus on in this area. I've showed you some new areas of potential innovation, but we can't stop there. There's a lot of research that actually has to happen before these get out here. I don't want to, try to fool you guys at all here in the audience. We're talking still 5, 10 years into the future. Technology is not the silver bullet that we've all hoped for, but hopefully we'll get there one day. Thank you.